Good evening and welcome to election night in New York City 2025. This night, New York City will choose the Democratic nominee for mayor to face off in the general election in November. This race has been dominated by Andrew Cuomo, but not in the way you'd think. Polling indicates a close race between Andrew Cuomo, the former governor, and Zohran Mamdani, a state assemblyman who has surged in recent weeks. It has been dominated by Andrew Cuomo in the sense that the candidates have been divided over their position on Cuomo. There is a clear divide between the Cuomo-aligned candidates, including Cuomo himself, obviously, and the anti-Cuomo candidates led by Zohran Mamdani, but also a part of Adrian Adams' campaign, Brad Lander's campaign, Zelnor Myri's campaign, etc. There is a clear main enemy in this race for many candidates, that being Andrew Cuomo. He has dominated every single issue. And right now we are getting our very first votes in this 2025 New York City Democratic primary for mayor. With 5% of the vote in, the race is too early to call. This is only a few votes in, but Adrian Adams is currently in the lead. Again, Cuomo and Mamdani dominate this race in terms of polling. Nobody else even comes close, but in these first few votes, they do indicate that Adrian Adams might have sort of a chance. Now remember, this is just the first round of voting. Nobody has been eliminated yet. New York City uses ranked choice voting, so that means whoever gets the least amount of first place votes in this round is eliminated. That will go on and on and on until there are just two candidates left and someone breaks 50%. In this first round of voting with 5% in, we cannot call a winner yet. Adrian Adams in the lead at 34%, Andrew Cuomo at 25%, Mamdani close behind at 23%, and Scott Stringer is at 11%. Meanwhile, Brad Lander is in 5th at 8%, Zelnor Myri is at 4%, Michael Blake is at 3%, and Jessica Ramos, who dropped out and endorsed Cuomo but will remain on the ballot, is at 1%. This is what the map looks like. We have who is leading in each state assembly district in New York City. As you can see, the first votes are coming in from mostly around Queens and Kings County. Adrian Adams, this is where her state senate district is, so it does make sense that she's leading. Again, 34, 25, and 23% respectively. And we have new votes in now, and look at that. Zohran Mamdani has taken the lead. This race is still too early to call, but we have half of the vote in, 48% of the vote in, and Zohran Mamdani has taken the lead. He has absolutely surged to 29%. Cuomo at 24%. Adrian Adams has fallen significantly at 19%. Scott Stringer, the comptroller, is at 11%. Brad Lander is at 10%. Zelnor Myri still at 4%. Michael Blake at 2%. And Whitney Tilson is at 1%. This is our updated map. As you can see, you can clearly see the regional divide in this city. You have Adrian Adams carrying the 4 assembly districts that her state senate district falls in. We have Andrew Cuomo winning in the more wealthy parts of the city, as you can see, Staten Island in the surrounding assembly districts. You have Scott Stringer leading where his district is, where he is comptroller. And we have Brad Lander winning a few scattered assembly districts as well in Manhattan and in the other one. It is now in Brooklyn. That's what I was trying to think of. And we now have 94% in for round 1, and we can conclude that there is no winner in round 1. Nobody has gotten to 50% of the vote in round 1. That is what we were expecting. No winner in round 1, but it finishes like this with Cuomo in the lead. 35% for Andrew Cuomo, not bad. 29% for Zohran Mamdani. That should give them some hope for the Zohran supporters. Adrian Adams at 13%, fell significantly from that early lead. Brad Lander at 10%. Scott Stringer, and that's important that Brad Lander actually crossed Scott Stringer. Stringer now at 7%. Zelnor Myri at 3%. Michael Blake at 2%. Whitney Tilson at 1%. And this is what the final map looks like for round 1. Not much has changed, but you could just see Zohran Mamdani doing very well in Queens and Brooklyn, a little bit in Manhattan. Lander doing best in Brooklyn. And we can now go all the way up to round 7. All the votes have been tallied for rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Not much changes because we are just eliminating first Ramos, then Paperboy Love Prince, and then Selma Bartholomew. These very low tier candidates. Then Whitney Tilson, Michael Blake, and Zelnor Mari. All that together is about 5 or 6 or 7% of the vote. And then we have Andrew Cuomo, Zohran Mamdani, Adrian Adams, Brad Lander, and Scott Stringer, who are left. So let's move on to round 7. Round 7, all the votes are in. The race is still too early to call. No one has crossed 50%. Andrew Cuomo is at 36%. Look at Zohran Mamdani. He is slowly closing that gap from the first round. He's now at 30. Adrian Adams is far behind at 14. Brad Lander at 12, and Scott Stringer is at 8. It looks like, as of now, that it will be, as polls predicted, Mamdani versus Cuomo in the final round. And we do have news that Scott Stringer is eliminated. This does not come as too much of a surprise. In other news, we can also we do have a over 50% winner in Queens in one borough. Queens. Now, of course, Staten Island we know Cuomo will win in. Bronx we know Cuomo will win in. But Queens, we were really interested to see how that race goes. And Mamdani has crossed 50%. He will be the winner in Queens. And in New York City still, we have the results from round 8. So now Scott Stringer's votes have been distributed. Now, we look at the second place rankings on the Stringer ballots. And Mamdani continues to close that gap very narrowly. Now he's down by only 5%. It is 38 for Cuomo, 33 for Mamdani. Lander is at 15. This is huge for him. He has crossed Adrian Adams. Adams stays at 14, while Lander gains and gets to 15. That means Adrian Adams is eliminated. Let's move on to round 8. And there you can see Lander overtakes Adams. It is now round 9 in the New York City Democratic mayoral primary, and we can project that there's once again no winner. The race is still too early to call. But look at those numbers between Cuomo and Mamdani. It was 5% in the last round, a gap between them. It is now just 3%. This is huge for Zohran. He continues to close this gap. And it makes sense. All these candidates were running anti-Cuomo campaigns. So even if that vote in the first round was split between all those anti-Cuomo candidates, while Cuomo was able to consolidate his own pro-Cuomo vote, the beauty of ranked choice voting is that that doesn't matter. That split in the end, all those votes go up to Zohran Mamdani in the end, as long as they had him ranked somewhere on their ballot. So Adrian Adams, Scott Stringer, all these anti-Cuomo candidates, soon to be Brad Lander, who has been eliminated in this round, all those votes will travel up to Zohran Mamdani by the end. So that means it comes down to who Brad Lander supporters ranked second or somewhere in their ballot. Zohran Mamdani or Andrew Cuomo. Mamdani has to gain a little bit of ground to beat Cuomo. It can't just be split 50-50 down the line. Mamdani has to gain an edge over Cuomo in these number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 rankings on Lander ballots. And this is what the map looks like in the final round. Again, Brad Lander is eliminated. No major changes. As you can see, Mamdani is catching up. This race again will come down to Brad Lander supporters. And let's see. Let's move on to the final round. 35% of the vote is in. Andrew Cuomo takes the lead, 52-47. This is round 10. This is huge. As you can see, Mamdani winning in Queens mostly. Those are where the first votes are in. The former Adrian Adams districts you could see mostly going to Mamdani because she ran such an anti-Cuomo campaign. That makes total sense. We now have 65% in, and Zohran Mamdani has taken the lead, 51.5 to 48.5. The map has been all filled in. Now we'll see if any districts flip by the end. We now have 90% of the vote in. This is crunch time. Cuomo, 50.2% of the vote. Mamdani at 49.8. Guys, it doesn't get much closer to this. Just 9,000 votes separates these two candidates. Less than 9,000 votes. This is coming down to the wire. The last 10% that will decide this election. And we now have a major projection. Zohran Mamdani has been elected as the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City. This is a massive upset. We knew it was getting close by the end. But to see someone who didn't even think he had a shot at the beginning of the race, winning this over one of the most, at one time, one of the most powerful men in the country, Andrew Cuomo, massive political power, belonging to the Cuomo family. The Cuomos have that Cuomo dynasty has ended, has been beaten, has been broken by a nobody, by someone who simply ran his campaign at first to try to grow the New York City Democratic Socialists of America, who at first didn't think he had a shot. This is a massive upset, a major win for the political left that will send shockwaves throughout the political universe, really, for years. This is the final result. Zohran Mamdani, 51.1%. Andrew Cuomo, 48.9%. It doesn't get much closer than this, guys. Just a massive shock to the system. Donald Trump has already responded. He didn't endorse Andrew Cuomo, obviously, but he is saying that this was a huge mistake for New York City, calling Mamdani radical leftist, everything you'd expect. Just a massive upset in this race. Zohran Mamdani will be the nominee.